trying to be like magnanimous.
Like what?
Magnanimous. That's a word.
I don't know what that word is. Okay.
Okay, real quick before we jump ahead, I was curious about game one. Was there anyone or any group of people that jumped out at you that either surprised you or also in sense of preparation, like, man, he was as locked in as we all need to be. Is there anybody that falls into that category, or were they all?
I think a lot. I was very pleased, obviously, with the outcome of the performance. I thought, our focus, 3 penalties. I know 2 of them we'd like to have back. But even the personal foul on Austin was an effort play. I like that. I thought Jason played extremely well. Again, guys that we've been talking about here for a long time, I thought stepped up. I thought Kobe Baines stepped up and played well. I thought our line as a whole played well. Defensively, again, we had some, again, the guys in the secondary, I thought, we didn't get challenged a ton vertically, and so I anticipate that'll change this week, and so we'll see. But again, they're playing well. Marvin Grant, and I think we've been talking about Marvin some, and I think he played to that level, and we'll continue to need him to do that. I thought up front we were very aggressive, but again, it'll be a bigger test here this week.
What are your initial thoughts on Illinois?
Extremely physical. Defense was highly impressive. You watch what they had. Now they lost some guys in the NFL, but they're still well coached. Physical defense. I was very impressed with the quarterback with his play. Ran the ball a little bit better than maybe I anticipated. Compared to what we had heard. An experienced line that's physical. Again, they have a mixture at the receiver position, and I'm bad on my name, so I should grab some things here, but the receiver position, they've got make you miss quick guys. Elijah Williams, the former quarterback, I think he's really impressive, and they got some guys, of course, that are continue to stretch, so this will be a whole different dynamic for us. Scott, the defensive back or the safety that returned it, I got the right name on it, and I apologize again, he was a receiver. They moved to corner, and then moved to safety. He had the big pick 6 for him. Seems very comfortable back there. This will be a big challenge for us, and one that we have to be ready for and embrace at this stage.
How's Brian do?
Brian is out there coaching today, so I say some people miss more time on colds and sniffles than Brian Bordelman. He was in the office on Saturday working, okay, and at the point we had to kick him out. So he's back at it. It's unbelievable, but not surprising.
You mentioned Kobe Baines. Just wanted to ask, what has he kind of done to earn that spot as the first guy off the bench, and what is Armaje's status currently?
Armaje's practicing today as well. Again, he went through some things and missed some time, but we expect Armaje back, barring anything. Kobe's worked hard. Kobe's a little bit over a year in the program. He joined us midway through camp, and that was a tough thing. But he's extremely physical. He played a lot of tackle. They moved him to guard. He gives us a physical presence in there, and again, that depth that we've been talking about.
I also just wanted to ask real quick about a couple of wide receivers. I know Luke left midway through the game.
Mm-hmm.
How's he doing? And also Tanaka Scott didn't dress. So.
Yeah, Tanaka's been battling a leg, a hamstring. He's been back out there. It's kind of been off and on, unfortunately. Kind of wait and see on him. Questionable. Luke was out there today doing some things, but again, kind of wait and see on him yet. It's early. I know it's a second day of prep, but coming off, we'll hopefully, again, have got everybody available, but to what extent we won't know. And sometimes some guys, as it's been going through, they can do some, and then the next day it could be 2 steps forward, 1 back. So, but thank goodness we have depth.
Defensively for you guys in the first half, first quarter, seemed like you did a really good job getting hats to the ball.
Mhm.
Can you just compare and contrast that in the first half versus maybe portions of the second half, and just generally, how important is that for you guys to have that?
You thought we did well in the first half, you said?
Yeah, kind of like first quarter, first half.
Yeah, I mean, they ran 15 plays the second half. I mean, so I think we, I think we did a pretty good job of, creating 2 turnovers and things like that kind of kept them out of rhythm. So it's hard to evaluate if we had, and 2 of those 15 were interceptions. So, to just say it was any different, I thought holistically we played very aggressive the whole game defensively. Under 50 total snaps. I think that I can pretty much assure you that it's going to probably be different this week. And with that, we're going to have to sustain that energy and hustle to the ball and all the little things, because this is one game that you got to be sound all the way around and strain.
And with Brett, what sort of relationship do you have with him?
Brett's been awesome to me. When he was at Wisconsin, I was at Whitewater. We use the indoor sometime, and there's a story where their facilities people told us we couldn't practice there. It was right before we went to play for a national championship, and so we practiced outside, and it was 15 degrees regular temperature and about -5 wind chill. And right when I was driving into work, he said, "Why didn't you just call me and ask?" And I would have moved our practice. And that's his facility. And then when I got the Buffalo job, he reached out twice and invited me down to Fayetteville to sit down and go through things. And first time I was general, and then he called. It was right before they're going to a bowl game. It was like 2 days before Christmas. So I said to my wife, I said, he's calling, and I think I need to take him up on this. And it was immensely valuable for me about a yearly calendar and some different things. So I'll always be indebted to Brett and somebody that's kind of stayed through the time.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Illinois program, obviously different conference, but in terms of their style of play, is it similar to anyone who played in the Big 12 last year?
Well, I'm not one that, they say Big 10 style of play versus whatever, because I think our conference has evolved to, a physical style. You look at, whether it be Kansas State, Iowa State, Baylor, a couple of TCU was physical, playing with tight ends. I think our whole conference does now. So, but it's it's going to be very similar to things that we know, but the physicality and again, Brett B with his defensive background, they're going to be physical and well coached, fundamentally sound, and you're going to have to execute consistently to beat them. You're not going to gimmick them. You're not going to hit a bunch of big plays. You've got to be able, and that's and so it's going to be the difficult challenge and one that we have to be ready for. And Coach Henry's a new defensive coordinator, had the bowl game head last week. Jim Leonard, former defensive coordinator at Wisconsin, is an analyst and is going to have input there. Brett's experience. They've got a lot of great defensive minds in that room. And so it'll be a good test. And
What do you see from Hayden Hatcher?
Typical Hatch type game, plays hard. He's all about effort and playing to the whistle, and he's kind of scrappy. But I don't want to make that he doesn't have ability in that. But the thing is, Hayden gets every ounce of his abilities and effort that he can out of it when he's on the field. And if there's someone to me that's embraced the fact that he go out there, play as hard as I can for as long because I'm going to rotate. I think Hayden does that for us.
Yeah, I was going to ask you too, on production-wise, can what he gave you in that one, can he be consistent with that?
I think so. Again, because it's a strain thing for him. I think he's one of those guys that you want to use as examples in your program because he plays so hard. He came in the offseason, like during the break, shortly after the bowl game, and wanted to talk a little bit about his future and his role here and things like that, because he's got a burning desire to be successful and wanted to have opportunities. Can I be a starter? Can I be more impactful? And of course, just like anyone in our program, it's going to be competitively based and results. And I think he's done an outstanding job. He's put on the weight that we asked him to allow him to maybe hold up a little bit more and throughout the season. And he's done a great job through this fall camp, of course, with the heat and everything else, of keeping that weight on.
you got the black hat, the black shirt. I got to ask you about these black uniforms. Then player input. Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Where did that come from? How
What
did
do you
that come
think?
about?
Do you like them?
Yeah, they look good.
Yeah.
I like the stripe.
Yeah.
I like the stripe a lot.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact month that, it was probably started with Kenny Logan and went to others, of course, but there's something, hey coach, we need black uniforms sometimes, I've had them at every other school. Players love them and they want them, and it's, again, and everything else that happens in college athletics today is a lot of driven by players, and they're the ones out there doing it and everything else, and I think we were able to do kind of hit it for all. We got the players in that type of, in that look. I think we respected our school colors. We respected our past and the circus font and everything. I think we touched on it all. Now, does that mean we please everybody? Probably not. Okay, but they never told me I would when I became a head coach. But I like them. I think it'll be a nice touch. I think, but again, it's not. It's going to be how we play in them that's going to matter the most on Friday.
Lance, in the spring, when you said we're going to put an emphasis on physicality,
Mm-hmm.
is this game a reason or somewhere where you hope that pays off?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, this was a game that was very apparent of their style of play was going to be, but also it's going to carry on to, our conference play and what you see, week in and week out, and very pleased with the first week, but now as you play FBS schools here on out, and I think nothing against the second. I mean, I'm just like, if you keep, we're going to sit in here for how many weeks in a row? We're going to talk about the physicality of every team, and it starts this week.
Just kind of looking at the kicking spot, is there anything definitively you want to see from Owen or Seth in trying to win that starting job?
Oh, Seth's the starter. I think he did a fine job. I don't, and we can't make it a, miss a kick, you're out and all that. So right now it's charted on a regular basis. It's been through consistency. I think it was nice to get Owen out there for one. Again, that's a balance of trying to get guys out there just like it is at any other position. And, I think, again, looking back at the game, you get a chance to use a backup kicker. Your kickoff guy has, majority of touchbacks, and you never had to use your punter. I think that's a pretty good day for kickers. And so, but yeah, I think as we continue, there'll be roles for both those guys as we move along.
And obviously, Jalon's kind of day-to-day. Has there been any updates on that?
Yeah, I thought he had a really good day today. But, again, as I said with other guys, and that's kind of where it's been sometimes. It's, how's it feel the next day and things like that. Like I told him, I said, he was available to play. If we'd have put him out there and something would have happened, it's like, okay, when and how much in the reps. But by far the most team reps that he's had since first week.
And you mentioned getting some other guys in. How pleased were you with just the number of players you were able to get snaps on Friday?
All in all, very pleased. There's a few that I kind of wish I would have been a little more on top of. A couple guys that wish could have maybe in some scenarios. It's always kind of a mixture though on either side, because if you substitute too much in the flow, depending on what the opponent does, either that side of the ball or your opponent either stops you quickly or moves the ball a little bit more, sometimes just based on things. So, but we were able to play a lot of guys and get them some experience, and like I said, the snaps counts weren't total, like what was 66 plays and they had 48. Now everybody's going to talk about the new rules and stuff, but I also think there were some, both sides probably strategy-wise to shorten it up and snap it a little bit later and things like that.
I want to talk about the new rules. What'd you think of just the first game of having to work with the new clock and everything?
Barely noticed it. You kind of look at the snap counts, and like I said, I looked at halftime, and again we turned the ball over and got stopped at 4th and 1, and so we had 25 snaps and they had 33. So I guess it was moving pretty good. jokingly said to someone, now they'll look at the snaps and add more games to the schedule. So, but I don't know. I think when we look at it and it settles out a little bit, who knows if there's any adjustments to it. But you know, I don't know. I didn't realize in baseball and stuff how much that's helped, and it keeps fan interest, and everything has to connect here between whether it be television, fans in the stands, plays, and player safety. So I'm more focused on whether or not you know, within those plays how we're executing.
Coach, you had 4 different running backs with a touchdown this week on Friday. Do you plan to kind of narrow down to a couple for Illinois this week, or continue spreading the love of that position?
Yeah, you know, we've had 4 backs that have played a fair amount of college football, and whether it be here or other places that have been productive. It's hard to play 4, and they know it. But you know, there's situations. You know, we'll get multiple backs on the field together. So there's always the opportunity. And again, we always emphasize to all those guys is what's your special teams contributions on top of it. But we'll see. It'll be a game by game, depending on game plan. But again, 4 backs score. I mean, I've said it here many times. We had 11 guys catch passes in a game. That's a lot of touches we can distribute out to, and you know, getting it to the playmakers, but keeping rhythm is also going to be very important.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Thanks,
All right,
everyone.
thanks everyone.